Let's say we get things started.
Welcome, everyone, to the Museum of Modern Games. Listeners will know that our normal format is that we cover one game per episode, but today we're doing something a little different. We have with us a very special guest. We are very privileged to speak with actor, voice actor, writer, comedian, social media celebrity, and, of course, normal person, Avalon Penrose.
Hello!
Thank you so much for talking with us, Avalon. One of the games we covered was Hades, of course.
Amazing.
And we loved your performance in that game. So we Googled you afterwards. And,
as you do.
And I'm realizing it's hard to do this in a way that doesn't sound a little bit creepy, but we just realized what a multi-talented person you are. You're also responsible for the Normal Person Explains videos.
Yes.
Which are very popular and very funny. You have a lovely singing voice.
Thank you.
You are a dive master, a scuba instructor. So just a fascinating and exciting life that you lead. And thank you again for spending a little time with us here.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
And before we get into maybe some voice acting stuff, we have to ask a little more about you. I know we're going to get real personal, real uncomfortable, real quick here.
Asking what do you want?
Well, I guess my first question is, you have a very cool and distinctive name, Avalon. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering if there's some kind of story behind that name.
You know, there is. I was named after a book that I have never read. And I don't think my mom has read it either. But my aunt, it was her favorite book. It's called The Myths of Avalon.
I swear to God, our mom has read this book.
Oh, yeah, I guarantee.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
I've heard it's a fantastic. I've had multiple people in my life tell me, oh my God, that's my favorite book. And I'm like, well, maybe I should read it. And then I went to this farmer's market. I'm not kidding. This is a real story. I went to a farmer's market and there was this hippie guru guy who was making these bracelets. And I got one and he was like, what's your name? And I was like, Avalon. And he's like the Myths of Avalon? And I was like, yeah, exactly. And he goes, have you read the book? And I was like, no. And then he's like, you should read it this year. How old are you, 26? And I was like, how did you guess that? And he goes, 26 is your year. Read this book right now. And I was like, what?
I hope you just left immediately because this is freaking me out just hearing about it.
It was really weird. And I was
and then he was
okay.
like, your blood type is AB positive.
Yeah, and then he said, if you don't read it this year, don't read it until you're 29.
Whoa, too specific.
I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
I was like,
wait.
What?
Where did this happen?
At a farmer's market in Kailua in Hawaii.
Okay.
So,
and he wasn't
I don't know.
so much, he was a homeless vagrant, I assume.
I know. No, he was selling his jewelry. And I bought a crystal from him that he said was blessed under the full moon. I don't know. There was a whole lot going on with that guy.
Please tell me you didn't give him a sample of your hair.
I didn't.
Yeah.
That would have been, I think, a little too far.
That would have been a
Powerful
bad
hex
mistake.
could have been made on you if that had happened.
Yes.
What were your parents like? Were your parents artistically inclined, musical, anything like that?
Not really. I mean, my mom always says I got my singing voice from my grandma because my grandma was part of a little girl group when she was in the Great Depression, so they had to
that was a thing, I
sing
guess.
to survive. And so they were, so the stakes were high. And it was her and her two sisters. And they went around during the Depression and sang for money. And then my mom was like, that's where you got your voice. Because my dad is definitely not musically talented that I know of. And my mom, she sings. And she actually has a nice voice. I tell her.
There's too much hesitation in that to be genuine.
I mean, it's cute when she sings, but she's never obviously like done it seriously. But
If you were in a singing contest and the judge said, "Yeah, it's cute when you sing," that would not be a
I
good
think-
endorsement.
exactly. So I think she would agree though with that. It's not like she's tone deaf. My brother was a metal singer.
No
yeah.
way.
Get
Yeah.
him on here.
What? Yeah.
You go home.
Leave. No.
I know.
He's the one we
Well,
want to talk to now.
I learned how to scream as well because of it. Like the whole
growl?
thing.
Go ahead.
I'm
You
not
do it,
gonna
please.
do it.
No,
I can't.
Maybe
It's
later.
like
Maybe
I
we can
haven't done
work
it
up
in a
to it.
long time. My brother could do like pig squeals and all that stuff. I wish. I would have loved to.
What's the name of his band? Can we?
It was
can we
called
find-
Metal Face. I don't think you can find it. Metal
Oh,
with
I'm
a
gonna
U.
look. I'm gonna look. You better
Metal.
believe it.
Metal with a U.
Metal.
Oh,
Yeah,
Metal.
Metal
Okay.
Face. It was
He
his high
didn't know
school
he
band.
was going to get a plug for his band.
I
in
know.
this.
Well, he is a rapper now. He does like to. He's a SoundCloud rapper, so he's got his beats. I think he goes.
Yes.
He performs under the name like Lumber Giraffe or Pluma Rosa. I can't remember exactly which one he goes by now, but
So everyone in
Yeah.
your family has to have like 10 jobs. You can't
Exactly,
just like
yeah.
pick one. Okay.
you can't.
Okay.
I have to ask. This is probably this is not possible at all. But any relation to famed mathematician Roger Penrose?
You know, I get asked this a lot.
Do you wait? Do you really?
I'm
or
not
no?
kidding.
Oh,
I
no.
get asked this a
Oh.
lot. I'm not sure how many times I've received this question, but at least 5. Which is
that's
interesting.
5 real
That's more
nerds
than
out there.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think so. But my grandpa was a genius, truly. So I wouldn't be
And his
surprised.
name was Roger Penrose.
And his name's
That's the
Roger,
crazy
but no
thing.
relation.
If I had better editing skills, I would edit in like equations floating above
Right,
your head
yeah.
this whole time. Yeah. Where did you grow up? Where are you from originally?
I grew up in a town called Temecula, which is a little bit inland from San Diego and a little bit north. So it's between San Diego and LA.
We're gonna bring this around now because I was born in San Diego. So
Ooh, which part?
That's right.
I don't know. I guess the Navy Hospital, Balboa Navy Hospital.
Got it.
Yeah, my two Iowan parents. So
What was the neighborhood they lived in? Was
Balboa.
it Balboa Park
Balboa
or something
Park,
like
yeah.
that? Yeah.
Oh, that's a nice little neighborhood.
it wasn't when they lived there because
Yeah.
they brought everything down. No,
Yeah.
unsavory bunch they are. No, I'm just joking. So you went to college,
I did. Yes.
but not for entertainment related activities.
No,
So-
not at all.
You
I studied a lot. I changed my major multiple times.
You did? Okay. Okay. But you studied marine biology, correct?
I did, yes.
Okay.
So I studied marine biology for my first 2 years. I decided to not finish it because I was going to go do a year of physics in a 3 months long intensive. And I was like, you know what? I don't think I'm going to be a marine biologist. Like at that point, I had already kind of started into the entertainment world. And I was like, I was going to go to Ireland to study physics for 3 months in an intensive program.
God.
And I was like, maybe that's just not where I want my life to go right now. So then
Did
I
you play
changed my
the
major.
Roger Penrose card? Did you
I
say
was
like,
like, excuse me, can I not get out of this physics? My great
on.
related person,
you aware of my
Roger
lineage?
Penrose. Yeah. So I didn't finish with marine biology. I switched to psychology. And then I actually worked in psychology for many years.
Oh, really? So this is.
Yeah.
I've heard a little bit about your, I guess, awareness of mental health issues and promotion of healthy mental health.
Yes. Healthy mental health.
Yes. I will
Yeah.
become the normal person
I know.
haltingly speaking throughout
It
this interview.
happens to people when I start talking like that because that's like a real part of my personality. I'm drawing from a real part of me when I do those videos. And so when I actually start talking, like that is unfortunately how I sound
Well,
like in real life. And then people absorb the anxiety and they're like, why can't I talk right
that
now?
has to be part of where the humor comes from because I think we all have that
Mm-hmm.
that fear or that tendency in us, you know.
I am glib 100% of the time, and how dare you imply
Don't
otherwise?
speak for me.
Yeah.
But you said you were doing some acting or something in college, though. You started down this path at some point.
Yeah. So randomly, I did improv comedy from the time I was a kid.
Oh,
I
okay.
started when I was, 6. And I don't know who was like, teach these kids improv because it was terrible.
Yeah.
But then
I can only imagine young kids
I
doing
know.
improv.
All they do is kill each other. I'm not kidding. That's all. I used to then teach. I went on in my life to then teach kids improv. Horrible. They're bad.
Then they
Anyway.
graduate to fart humor. I
No,
imagine that's the next step.
it's first guns and kill at the end of every scene, and then it's like all just like them almost saying bad words and then like giggling to each other like, oh, did you? I almost said that. And then I'm like, all right, this is bad. This is bad scene work. Can we get back to the who, what, when, where, why? Okay. And they're like, we don't know what you're saying. So yeah, I had to stop being a teacher.
It's really
because of
dark
that.
tidings for the future of this country, actually. It's
I know.
a foreboding sign of things to come, I think.
Exactly. But yeah, so I did improv all through high school. And then I quit performing in a very dramatic fashion. I was like, when I go to college, nobody's going to know that I ever was a performer. I don't want anyone to know. I legitimately believe that. I also quit dramatically when I was 14. Like, I've done this twice where I'm like, I don't want to perform. I want to be a scientist.
So
I don't know.
Why?
I thought that they couldn't coexist. Like, I didn't grow up with very much money, and I legitimately believed there was no chance that I could turn, my acting or anything into a career. And then I got a ticket for jaywalking. Well, it wasn't actually jaywalking. I was crossing against apparently you're not legally allowed to cross when the hand is blinking down. Did you know that?
Oh, yeah. The blinking I thought was just like
The blinking's
it.
illegal.
Like either go
You can
quick or
only-
don't go. Like yeah.
Exactly. You can't start when it's blinking down. Anyway, 14-year-old Avalon gets a ticket for this. It's like $225. I start sobbing because I can't afford that and I don't know what to do. So then I have to go to court. I go to court.
No
And
way.
I know. And then it's all like older people fighting their like, fix-it tickets and stuff like that in court. And then me. And I had to go in front of the judge. And at that point, I thought I was going to grow up to be an actor. And in front of the judge, I say, he is like, why did you like do this? And I was like, you mean the thing that everybody does that nobody knew was a law? Like, I don't know. And then he's like, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I was like, an actor. And then he was like, huh, ha, 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 ha. And then the whole courtroom started laughing. And then I was like, and he goes, what's your plan B? And then I was like, I don't know, maybe being a doctor. And then he goes, stick with the plan B. And it stuck with me. I mean, I legitimately.
God.
And then
This is a
had
legit
full,
origin story
I
here.
know.
Yeah, it's harrowing.
I know. And then I had a full existential crisis at about 14 where I was like, he's right. Like, I'm in court. I can't even afford a $225 ticket because I'm 14.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't afford this. How am I ever going to afford to live? Who do I think I am being an actor? I'm going to be a doctor. And that was it. And so then I quit. But then I got back into it 1 year later.
And we're thankful for it.
Yeah. But yeah.
I was kind of wondering, what was there any, like, you kind of talked about how you committed to this, but was there any particular piece of media or movie or show that really inspired you in a way that made you kind of commit to performing, like going into the creative arts?
Honestly, more than anything, I've never been a huge consumer of
Really?
media, to
Okay.
be honest.
Okay.
I watched TV and I played games when I was a kid. And my brother's a huge gamer. I would watch him play. I loved it. I feel like I invented Twitch because I used to just watch my brother play video games from the time I was like 1. And I was like, eh. So I've always kind of been around that. But as an adult, as I kind of like grew more into my version of myself now, I just stopped I've always filled my plate way too full with physical in-person activities that I almost never had a chance to sit down and watch a TV show or watch a movie, like really almost never throughout college and even now as an adult. I'm getting a little bit better at kind of relaxing and watching TV. But the thing that really actually did it for me, that solidified me wanting to perform, was watching live improv comedy and seeing these shows in Los Angeles that blew my mind. That were amazing.
And that's interesting because, like, from our perspective, coming from a small town, Iowa, you know,
not a big improv scene here. I'm going to be honest.
Improv scene here, yeah.
You guys can start it.
That's right. Or you could come here and just clean
I
up.
know.
Like, there's no competition.
Yes. I mean, it's truly something that I would say 90% of the population hates. And then in college, like, this is 100% my origin story as choosing to perform professionally. Was I used to take the bus from, I went to school at UCLA, which is on the west side of Los Angeles. I would take a bus for 45 minutes to an hour almost every day to go to Hollywood to watch. You could pay $5 and you could see an entire night of shows. I would stay from 7 p.m. until 11 p.m. Then I would take the bus home 45 minutes back to school. And it was definitely my origin story. I was the biggest fangirl of these improv comedians. I was obsessed with the way they performed. And what was so cool is it was a different show every single week. And it was my sitcom, you know, like the thing that people watch every Sunday. I was like, every Friday it's this team that I love, and every Saturday it's this team, and Wednesdays I get to see. It was like really actually overwhelming how much I went.
That's so interesting. And it's really, I think, kind of a unique experience to such an entertainment heavy neighborhood too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you had grown up in Iowa.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Maybe you would have been the stereotypical girl from Iowa who travels to LA, but which is like a cliche and it's on its own. But.
So after college, you're in Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. And what happens next? You just you get an agent and you just start auditioning.
Ooh.
Like,
but you're working in industry though, in other things. What was your transition?
Yeah, if you could talk a little bit about that very early kind of part of your career.
Oh, it is ingrained in my memory because I graduated with this psychology degree. I had been working in psychology already for 3 years. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, I'm not going to go get my master's and become a therapist. So what am I going to do? And I'd been performing improv actually professionally already at that point. Professional improv means sometimes I got paid like $50.
Bus fare to get there, yeah.
Sometimes. So I was doing it a lot, and it was actually funny because at that point I had kind of just done my first voiceover job. And I got to play a little girl in an indie animation, and it was my first real job ever. And I kind of started telling people at the improv school I went to, I'm like, by the way, I'm a voice actor.
It's technically true. I mean,
it's absolutely
I was like, I did
you.
one short film that I did, and I didn't even know what, I didn't know how to do anything. I barely knew how to talk into a mic. And then I had a friend at my improv studio, or my improv, I don't know what they're called, improv school. And she was like, hey, have you ever auditioned for video games? I was like, nope, but I would love to. And so she's like, well, I'm friends with the people at Supergiant. I was in their last game, and they are opening auditions for the first time to the public, pretty much. They had never really done public auditions. And she's like, if you want, I can pass your email along and see if maybe you can audition for something. And I was like, okay, why not? I would love to. I listened back recently on this audition. It's pure garbage. It's truly horrible. I listened back. I'm like, how on earth did they see anything in this?
So
but
you still have your audition audio then?
Yeah. Well, I went back into the email because I just sent it. I recorded it on my iPhone voice notes, and it's terrible. It's not edited. it's like echoey. I think I was just like sitting in a closet freaking out. Like
You were in a bathroom for that real echoey goodness. No.
it was terrible.
The existential crisis you were having might have been the energy they were looking for. Though.
I know. And
What
and at
did
that
they
time
ask you
also,
to
like,
read for this audition? Like,
Yeah,
just
did
a
you get
couple sides.
really?
So they gave
Okay.
like I auditioned for like 6 parts. I'm pretty sure.
Zagreus was one
every
of them?
female character. I wish, but I auditioned for like Dusa. I auditioned for. Oh wait, actually, maybe I didn't audition for. I can't remember who. I auditioned for a lot of characters. I know I auditioned for like Aphrodite and all these other characters, and all of them were probably bad. But then they heard something in the Megaera one. So yeah.
Yeah, questions about that. So, did you have a voice in? I mean, you obviously did a voice for the initial recording, but was that how close was that to the end Megaera voice?
I think. Sorry, do you hear all these sirens behind me?
No.
Wow.
You're crystal clear.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you hear it in post, I'm sorry, but
It really
there
adds
are
some
a lot of
ambiance,
sirens.
actually.
I know. Welcome to where I live. My neighborhood's great. Well, I think they gave a couple, as with most people who are casting for things, they'll give a couple vocal references of what they're looking for. And they did have a couple people who were kind of like those rougher, feminine but powerful voices. And then I think truly because I was auditioning in a closet and I like couldn't really talk very loud, that it was part of the whispery, low effect of Megaera's character. And then it just kind of stuck, and Darren ended up really helping me form. I mean, I had never recorded in a booth besides my one indie animation. So I didn't know how to, like, I'm exploding, like everything I'm saying is like, and he's like, okay, well, maybe we can learn how to talk into a mic. But I really learned a lot through him, and him and Greg and the whole team at Supergiant basically helped me form that character into who she is.
That's amazing. And it is such a unique kind of approach to the voice, right? Because it's this powerful female character, but it's a very understated voice that is, not like a, stereotypical, let's say, it's not loud or imposing, right? It's this very like quiet, laid back, intimidating voice.
Yeah. It's like, I don't care whether you live or die. I'm gonna keep living.
It's so great. Was that Darren Korb of Supergiant?
Oh yeah.
Who also did all the music.
Legend.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, what was
It's
it
actually
like working with him?
so cool. He's truly such a wonderful person and so talented. He does all the music. He does so many of the voices and everything. So on my very first day recording, I was up at their San Francisco studio and we went to lunch during our lunch break, and I think maybe around their area, people really know who he is. And obviously, if you're a Supergiant fan, you would know who Darren is. And we're at the restaurant, and this guy's like, oh my, Darren? And I, at that point, hadn't like known much about Supergiant. And then the guy at the counter of the restaurant starts...
100% he staged that. Yeah.
He's like, we're legit. But the guy behind the counter starts singing one of the songs from, I think,
Bastion.
Like I think from Bastion. And like, I don't know what was happening. And then the guy looks at me and he goes, oh my God, are you going to be in one of the Supergiant games? And I was like, and I like looked at Darren, and Darren's like, it's just, she's my friend. And I was like, what a weird interaction. Like, it was so strange. But I wonder if that guy remembers that, because if he was working at the restaurant, I wonder if he's now put together like, oh my God, that girl who was with Darren is now, that's Meg. Like, I wonder if he thinks about that.
No,
He has a shrine to you in his house, guaranteed.
He's not going to match you with the voice of Meg. That's what I'll say. All right. It's too far from your normal speaking voice, I think.
I know. I'm way more like Dusa when in real life. Like that is so much more my personality. And so it's very funny that is the character that I ended up playing.
I'm much more of a boldy myself, just
yes.
being there,
Just existing.
So
I was wondering, are you always just alone in a booth, or do you ever do scenes with other actors? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, what's that process like for us non-celebrity voice actors?
Yeah. For video games, it is very, very rare to ever have another person with you.
Really?
Basically. I mean, most of the time, I don't even know the context of what I'm saying, which is why when people sometimes ask me about the game and about specific lines, they're like, when you said that, and I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
See,
I wish I knew.
It's incredible that it can flow like a normal conversation. Because
Yeah.
honestly, playing the game, I would have never guessed that.
Yeah, and one of the and not so much in Hades necessarily, because it's kind of this cyclical game where you're doing this multiple run, and it's kind of somewhat linear, right? But a lot of games can have branching decisions and dialogue where you'd feel like you'd have to know a lot of that context when you went in.
Absolutely. Well, Darren does a really cool thing that I haven't had this experience with every video game I've worked on, but Darren will normally at least try to say a lead-in line. Even though I don't necessarily know the whole context of the scene, he'll be like, here is Zag's voice, and like his next thing that he's saying. And then I'll be like, okay, my response to it. And even though it's not, fully giving me an idea of what's going on in the scene 100%, it is super nice to have him to respond to.
Yeah.
And sometimes
and he's the voice of
directors will do
Zagreus,
that.
so
I know, exactly.
Your most important counterpart probably in the game, at least.
Yeah.
Without going into it too much, this is a little bit of an uncomfortable topic.
Okay.
I want to know. So a lot of people have the voice of Meg has stirred many things in a lot of people.
Yes.
Okay, to put it,
100%.
yeah, to put it, we'll just ease into this. But
Yes.
did I assume that no one at Supergiant wanted you to make this voice sexy or anything, or did it surprise you that people kind of responded in the way they did? I'll put it that way.
I mean, I never in a million years, I never in a million years, never in a million years did I think that it would have the reaction that it did. I did not think that it was going to be played as many times as it was because, I thought it was going to be like a really small indie game. That's really what I thought when I was first reading for it. And the fact that it really did blow up, I think inherently comes with people are going to interpret the characters and they're going to pile on each other. And of course, I know that my character's voice is very seductive. And I know that the context of her being, her having a whip and just in general, her relationship with Zagreus, of course, I knew how it was going to be.
I mean, come on.
That's true. Everyone in that game has been sexualized.
Even the boulder, somehow.
Yes.
I don't understand it, but...
I know. So there's really no avoiding it. And it was very interesting because I had never, ever had, any kind of fame in any way. I mean, I still wouldn't consider myself to have fame in that way, but I guess that now I have a following a little bit, but that was my first intro into it at all. And I was getting so many weird messages. I
can't
insane.
imagine. I mean, I get them, obviously. I'm getting them all the time, too. You know how it is. But,
every day. It's wow. But it's really weird. I mean, it really was strong right at the beginning.
Yeah.
When it had its first major release, not when it was in early access. In early access, it was just really a lot of Supergiant fans, people who had been there from the beginning that were just so supportive and amazing. But then a lot of the other people who started playing got a hold of it. The unsavory crowd.
Man.
And it really was like a breakout game. I mean,
totally.
Game
of the
games
year.
have been popular, but it won tons of awards.
Absolutely.
Unprecedented success.
Made it onto our podcast, which is really the
ultimate
ultimate
compliment.
standard, the ultimate compliment.
I know. And I think that I would not be where I am in my career without Hades, and I'm so thankful for it, and I'm so thankful for everyone on the Supergiant team. And nothing has happened with the response to it that's ever made me feel really uncomfortable. And I
knock
totally
on wood,
embrace
all right?
it. I know.
Right,
I mean, I don't get uncomfortable really, but I'll deal with anything that ever happens. It doesn't really matter to me. But I think that it's so much more overwhelmingly positive than negative. So
yeah, that's great. And let's hope it doesn't change.
Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
exactly.
Yeah. You've talked about you're a big fan of I guess more adult-oriented cartoons as well.
Yeah.
A big BoJack Horseman fan,
Absolutely.
I believe. Are there any other I guess favorite animated series, anything like that?
Yeah. Recently I watched this really incredible Italian animated series that's on Netflix called Tear Along the Dotted Line. That's the American or the English name of it. On American Netflix. Sorry, I'm not an American elitist. I understand that there's no such language as American. But there's it's really good. I really love it. And I just watched it recently. It's really heartfelt about mental health, about friendship and adulting, and I can't believe I just said the word adulting. I'm sorry.
You lose a
it's
couple
just a
cool
good-
points now, I'm
It's
afraid.
really cool, and it's based off of a really awesome graphic novel series that I have not read because I don't speak Italian, but my boyfriend does, so that's why I learned
I'm
about it.
sensing this trend of not reading.
Yeah,
books,
wait a minute
so-
here.
Yeah, no, I read
We assume you
books.
can read.
I
don't know
can
about
read.
this.
No, I love reading.
That's an interesting topic, though. So, was part of what drew you to BoJack is the mental health aspect of it, because you know it's such an earnest show. It's obviously hilarious, but then balances out with this earnestness about mental health, about really real interactions.
Oh yeah.
Strangely, in a show with anthropomorphic animals, right? I
Yeah.
mean, it's such a weird
And
juxtaposition.
That's what I love, and I want that for myself. That is my end goal, is to write, and I don't even care if I act in it. I just want it to happen. I want to write something that kind of involves my experience with my own mental health, and I think that it's something that will take me a long time to write because I kind of want to be, through the mental health stuff and on the other side of it a little bit so I can reflect back on it. But
Do
I
any
even
of us
now
ever get through the mental health
I don't know about
journey
that.
of life?
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah.
I think that I definitely know that I'll be at a place where I'll have a better capability of reflecting and talking about it in a way that I can do with like a sense of humor and stuff in the way that BoJack does. Because I think that is such a raw, authentic show, but I think it's hard to write something like that when you're in it actively. And I
absolutely.
think that it's so much better to write it once you've kind of seen how to work through it and live a healthier life than at least the one that you were living. But it's more entertaining to hear about the unhealthy life, right? So that's why we see a lot of these things pop up that are about broken characters, people going through really hard things, because that's really interesting to us, but it's really not the healthiest way to live, what we see on most
right.
TV
There's
and
some
stuff.
amount of glorification of these broken
Yeah.
characters, right? Which is
Right.
not the point of a lot of these shows, but can kind of
It draws
maybe
you
some-
in. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
I think that it's the same way where people listen to murder podcasts, People like things that are raw and real and explore
Right.
the edges of humans.
We're all fascinated by
Yeah.
that. I think,
Which is
yeah.
why at this moment I'm turning this into a
Yeah.
murder podcast.
You're like, with that.
Great segue for me
I should have seen
into
it
murdering
coming.
my brother. Originally, sorry, jumping
Yes,
back here.
We got
segue.
off track a little. Sorry.
And to talk about Scuba a little bit, because I'm excited to talk a little bit about it, because I'm gonna get Scuba certified in March in Guam.
Ooh.
I'm a
No
bit
way.
I'm a bit of a diver myself. Actually,
No
I haven't done it
way.
in several years, so I can't even really say that anymore.
Yes, you can.
It's like riding a bike, right? I don't need to do a refresher course.
Yes, you should. But
I should.
I did.
So,
I had a guy today who hadn't been diving since 1992,
okay. Well, okay.
and I took him out today, and he survived.
He
So.
survived. You didn't turn his air off or anything. No
Oh.
pranks. No. Okay.
No pranks.
Okay. So when you were in California,
Mm-hmm.
were you like a dive master there?
Yes.
Is there good
started-
diving in California?
It depends on how you define good.
That's a strong no right there.
You could.
That's a-
You can dive in California.
There
it
is
is
water.
very challenging. Yeah, it is an ocean.
I was going to ask,
but-
are there like lots of currents and
Yeah, it is
Okay.
substantially more challenging than diving elsewhere
Yeah.
than diving in a lot of other places because there's just conditions. There are conditions in California like currents and bad visibility, and it's so cold.
Yeah.
And you know, I couldn't even imagine doing Northern California. I was in Southern California, and we do have some good days in California, but it's hard. I mean, it's very rare that people will go to California and be like, you know what, I want to dive here.
Yeah,
Whereas
you know, if
it's
you
here,
were
you know.
the California Diving Board needs to hire you as their
As their spokesperson.
I know, I'm doing a really good job selling it. But while I was there, you know, because of that, because no one's going on vacation to scuba dive in California, I only worked weekends and I was really only teaching. There wasn't much guiding going on. I was teaching a lot of
Recreational,
classes. Yeah.
my first dive, like practice dive, or what, I can't remember what it was called. I was literally in a pond in Michigan. I could not see my hand in front of my face.
Yeah.
So as bad as California is, I'm sure it's an improvement over that.
I mean, some days it is that bad, but you know, at least there's water movement that can clear up some of that. Like it's not a still body of water that you're just like
polluted.
I know.
So I always ask anyone that I know that dives, I have to ask them this question. What is the best diving that you have experienced? Your personal favorite location you've ever been to?
I got it. It's Belize.
Belize, really?
Yeah.
Exotic.
It's incredible. I actually won a sweepstakes and I got I got a free trip on basically a yacht that you live on for 7 days.
Like a
and you
liveaboard
dive.
thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
A liveaboard
Wow.
yacht. And you live on it for 7 days and you dive 4 to 5 times a day. And I won it. And then I was like, what if this isn't real? But I still went to Belize. And I actually spent a month in Belize almost. And a week of it was on this liveaboard. And we did this. I mean, we did amazing dives every single day. It was the best diving I've ever done. And there's this one called Silver Cave where you go through this little tiny hole into the abyss and you're like, hopefully this leads to something. And then you like get down and you turn to your left and it's just this giant cave opening. And from bottom to top, it is tiny, tiny little silverfish to the point where you cannot see into the cave. They just like make a wall. And you put your hand through and they separate. It was the most stunning, amazing thing I've ever seen in my life.
And
you can
it
swim
was
through it.
called Silver Hole. Is that the
Silver
name
Cave.
of this? Silver Cave. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have any idea where it is. It's like somewhere in the middle of the Belize Barrier Reef.
Because this was when you were on the liveaboard, so it was out a ways. Is that?
Yeah.
Okay,
It's like in the
okay.
middle of the ocean.
I need to get back into diving. I really do.
Do it.
The closest I've gotten to this is just watching James Cameron's The Way of Water.
Yes.
What else do you need, really? I mean,
I literally loved that movie. I was like,
He had a real missed opportunity to hire you for that. I mean,
I know.
come
With
on.
your skill set, I mean,
are you serious? Kate Winslet? Like,
Ugh,
you're going to
gross.
cast her?
she's a has-been, all right? She's had her moment. Let's get some new blood in there.
I know. I read like articles because they actually had a free dive for that. And I read an article that was like, Kate Winslet was able to hold her breath for 7 minutes by the end of it. I was like,
No.
what? Yeah. Apparently she became a master breath holder.
You're telling me Kate Winslet is a badass.
I know.
I would have never guessed
I never
that.
wanted to believe it because I actually don't like her. Don't tell her. But I'm not a
we're
huge
airing
Kate
this.
Winslet
She
fan.
is our next guest.
That is-
so
I
this is a
know.
little weird for us. But
That's the soundbite of the episode that we played at
Yeah.
the beginning.
I really don't like Kate Winslet because I saw this one episode where she did like a show with Bear Grylls. I don't know why I saw that, but
This is
she
the
did
good
like
stuff for the podcast.
I know. She did this show. Bear Grylls had a bunch of celebrities. The best one was Zac Efron. And then the worst one was Kate Winslet. She was such a crybaby the whole time. She's like, I don't want to do this. And I was like, Kate Winslet, why did you do this show if you're such a little baby? I don't know. I was like really upset. And then ever since then, I've not liked her.
it
Avalon
goes back
really
to her not scooting over when she was laying on that door.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
we should
know.
give
Seen
Leonardo
this coming.
DiCaprio some space here.
Yeah.
Avalon, you're failing at not being.
I know, I'm being
not
mean.
Yeah.
I know.
Come on. No, get it together. No, I'm just joking.
She's my outlet. I'm allowed to be mean to Kate
To
Winslet.
one person, just Kate Winslet. She's like your whipping
She's-
boy.
Kate
Yeah, she's
Winslet
my-
is America's punching
She's my
bag.
kryptonite.
That's right.
Can you talk a little bit about you are self-represented in the entertainment industry, or were at some point?
I was.
Oh,
I actually do
got
have an
some
agent now.
Professional help now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for
I
many
see.
years, I had an agent. Oh yeah, because remember a long time ago when you asked me a question that I didn't answer, when you were like, how was your life right after college? I didn't actually talk too much about that, but it was horrible. I had no money. I
Spoiler
actually was
alert.
just looking, I was just looking back. I'm an extreme budgeter. Like I am obsessed with spreadsheets and finances and budgeting. I just love it. I eat it up.
You don't do the coupon thing.
No, I'm not that
Okay.
bad.
Oh,
But I
thank
just
God.
like knowing what's going on with my money. I think it's part of growing up with very little money. I was like, when I become an adult, I need to know everything. So I'm pretty religious about it. Anyway, I looked back on my budget from 2018, which is the year I graduated, and then into 2019. I started 2019 with literally $0. Like
Clean slate.
$0
Just a
in my
clean slate.
checking.
That is
Yeah.
perfect clean slate.
I was like, this is great. 2019, going into life as a 23-year-old, $0. I had negative money because I actually, for some reason, had a car loan. Don't get a car loan. I'm going to tell you this. If you're poor, don't get a car loan. Buy a really bad car and just do that. Don't get a car loan.
she withheld
Anyway.
cursing. You heard that, right?
Yeah,
Truly,
I know.
truly.
I
So,
don't want to be misinterpreted
okay.
as a bad person. But yeah, so I was desperate at that point for anything. So I actually got a really bad manager / agent. And she was terrible. I mean, hopefully she never hears this. Maybe she will. But she worked really hard for me at first. And then we just had like a really bad falling out. And I don't know what was going on. Because again, like I feel like I'm pretty good. Like I really tried to be like a good client. I was really trying to be there. But I also really needed money. And a lot of agents have a hard time with, especially on-camera agents. Voiceover agents, it's very different. But on-camera agents really want you to have no life besides acting, which is why rich people are typically more successful as actors. Because if you have a fail-safe
Yeah.
of, hey, I don't
100%.
need a part-time job. I
Yeah.
can go sit in audition rooms day in and day out. I couldn't do that. I mean, I needed
Yeah.
to work, and
Well-
I was dropping the ball on auditions, and I was like, I can't leave my job to go to this audition in the middle of town. Like, I can't.
Is this
Who can do
targeted?
that?
Is this targeted at Julia Louis-Dreyfus in India?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. No, I actually.
She's
yeah,
great.
I know.
She's America's sweetheart. Yeah.
I know. I know people who worked on Veep that disagree.
Oh, okay. Getting juicy.
I also have beef with Julia. I'm just kidding.
Wait a
Me
minute.
and
We're sensing a pattern here.
I know. I actually hate everybody in Hollywood. I'm like, I'm America's sweetheart, okay? And then I'm like, but seriously,
20
All of
years
these
from
people.
now, you're going to be like literally the worst person on the
hope.
planet. Just a transformation.
I know. And I hope there's someone in 40 years who goes on a podcast and is like, I hate Avalon Penrose. Like she is the epitome of just a horrible celebrity. She doesn't know how to
Self-serving,
use her power for good.
That's when it's
really
come
gonna come
full
back to bite
circle.
me.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
The karma will
Yeah.
get you eventually.
As all things do.
Yeah.
Going back to the privilege. Imagine how we've talked about this before, but imagine the fearlessness you would have if you had such a safety net, right? You could take all these really big chances and not have to worry
Yeah.
about that failure, which is really uninhibiting in itself.
Yes.
but-
And you can afford to take good classes. You can
Yeah.
learn. I mean, classes in LA, just to be in an acting class, it's at least $200 a month. At least. If you want to add on any other things to that, if you want to add on voiceover coaching, I've never had a voiceover lesson in my life, ever.
You
But
should
there
be
are full
giving them now.
schools. I know. I actually would like to give them, but truthfully, I still have a huge imposter syndrome, even though I've done a lot of projects now where I'm like, I can never teach this. I'm like, I can never teach this. I don't think that my way is like replicable. I think that I did this all by accident and now I'm here by chance. And
It was all serendipity for me.
it was all
I can't
serendipity. Not one
recreate
part of
for
it was
you.
talent or skill. But yeah, I mean, I couldn't afford to take any of these things. I would save up so much money just to take one class. And then I'd have to like drop out or like kind of beg, like, I can't like really pay this month, but like, I don't know, there might be like an audition on the horizon. Like maybe I can get this job and maybe I can pay. And they're like, okay, well, you can like let this month slide. And I'm like, okay. It was
Yeah.
hard.
I mean, I don't think that's something people talk about much, but that freedom to fail is such a huge thing. And
Especially in a space where you have this kind of viral success, right? Where if you get that initial toehold, you can make progress, right? But to have the freedom to try to find that toehold, it takes a lot of trial and error, and it takes a lot of failure.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of which, so I imagine that you have to deal with. This is gonna sound like a back. I imagine you have to deal with failure a lot. No,
Yes.
but it's an unavoidable part of what you do. I mean,
Right.
despite your obvious talent. So how do you psychologically like process that? How do you not let
Yes.
it affect you?
I get asked this question a few times, like from people who I mentor or people who I just in general ask me questions. And I tell people the second that I decided to actually break free from that, and initial agent who actually didn't break, she dropped me. But when that relationship ended, it gave me this clarity that I hadn't had, which was I need to survive and enjoy my life before my career success. I don't care about what project I get. It's not going to save my life if I'm drowning in financial ruin because I'm trying to not work as much so that I can prepare myself in case I get a big project or whatever, right? Which that's the thought that gets into people's heads when they put everything into acting, right? And you're told this from acting coaches. You have to give it your all. You have to give them everything. You have to go into this. I had someone say, put yourself into debt to get this career because that's the only way you're going to get it. And I was like, you know what? No, it's not. Because
Wonderful
I
advice there.
know that this career is not stable. I know people who have been on 4 series of a TV show that walk away and 2 years later, they can't get another job and they are running out of money from that TV show because that's how the industry works. You can do one amazing thing and sometimes that one amazing thing screws you from getting anything else because people can't see you any other way. And I feel like it's way worse for on-screen actors. I'm very lucky that my breakthrough was in voiceover because I think I would have felt way more mentally drained if I had success as an on-camera actor. And the fact that I do it voiceover, which has opened up so many opportunities for me to have such a vibrant life outside of that work, right? Which is why I'm able to be a scuba instructor, which is why I was able to move here. I can go anywhere in the world and I don't rely on voiceover to pay my bills.
Survive. Yeah.
At all. And I will never. I really don't think I will ever rely on it solely because that puts too much pressure on me to say yes to every job. I don't want to say yes to jobs I don't want.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to be like, oh my God, but I need that $500 or I need that $1,000 right now. I don't want to do like crappy things that I'm not passionate about. I want to do projects that make me happy because I have a life outside of voiceover. And when I'm in the position now where of course I want to work. Of course I want to do, like, I'll do a random commercial if I got it, but I'm also not like, oh my God, I auditioned for that T-Mobile commercial. Like, why haven't they called me? Because I just assume my life is going to stay the same no matter what.
And I got to say, your life sounds so much better and more balanced with how you have it structured. I mean, doing the scuba thing.
Yeah.
And really,
Way
video
better.
game voice specifically, it is such a growing market. Like, there is so much increase in demand for it. Even smaller studios like Supergiant now, the bar has been raised so much.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I got to say, I think it's a really cool niche that you found, and having that freedom is just invaluable.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think there's a good message in there for people too, where it's like, people like to romanticize that, giving it your all and everything like
Starving
that.
artist.
Starving artist. Yeah, it's again glorified, right? And people like to make fun of the person who hedges their bets, right? But it's okay to have a 9 to 5 and also do a video game podcast on the side. I'm just going to throw that one out there as a hypothetical.
Exactly. I mean, honestly, you have two things that you're constantly balancing in adulthood: time and money. And a lot of people sacrifice one or the other when they're starting this career, right? They want to make money, so they get 10 part-time jobs because they need money, but then they don't have any time to actually pursue acting. But then, on the other hand, if you open up your schedule to the point where, a lot of agents want you to be like, you have to be available every day to do 8 auditions. And it's like, I'm sorry, but I can't. And you have to set that boundary. Like, I can't do 8 voiceover auditions a day. And that is what some people do. Real voice actors, not that I'm not a real voice actor, but like professional voice actors who this is their only thing are auditioning 8 times a day sometimes. I could never do that, and I would never want to. And truthfully,
that's
I
like
have an
shocking
agent
to
now.
hear to me. Like,
Yeah.
I would have never imagined that.
Yeah, that's absolutely
Oh,
insane.
yeah. I mean, there are so many auditions for everything, right? I get sometimes 2 to 3 auditions a day. And even then, and I get like stressed. I'm like, oh my God, because I'm like getting off a boat, or I might get stranded in the middle of the ocean. And then I'm like, oh my God, this audition's due at 8 a.m. And then I like check in with myself. I'm like, it's not the end of the world. Like, if you miss an audition, guess what? You didn't have the job yesterday. Doesn't matter. Like, and I feel like maybe my agent wouldn't like to hear that. But the truth is, that's how I...
But they're not going to listen to this.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to send her the
Fine.
link. No, but truthfully, like, I am so grateful to now have an agent who is working for me. And I have a team, and they're looking for jobs.
And they
but-
probably understand those boundaries maybe more than your previous.
Oh, they understand them a lot because they bared with me when I moved here, and for almost 6 months I didn't have a workable home studio. And I was like, I don't have anywhere. And I almost did it intentionally because I really wanted to separate from voice acting for a little bit. As I do, I quit performing all the time because I think I've always had like a very hard relationship with it where it can begin to consume my whole life and take away from my health. And I was getting so stressed out because I didn't have a home studio. I'd get an audition and I'd record like a horrible version on like this mic, which I didn't have soundproofing. And I was like, oh my God, I'm just like making a bad name for myself because I'm sending in bad auditions. And I was like, I just basically sent them a message like, hey, can I just like take a break? You can like drop me if you need, but I just can't. Like, I don't want to deliver bad work. And I know that one day soon I'm going to move into my own apartment and I'm going to be able to build a booth. And that day did come, and sometimes you just have to be honest with yourself and be like, I just need money. As soon as I moved to Hawaii, I crashed into a wall and caused $7,000 of damage. And it really set back my plans to build a home studio, to do all the things that I wanted to do here.
That was your new jaywalking ticket. That was,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
One of those little low walls that they have all around there. I know what you're talking about.
No, it was
I
a
think.
concrete full wall. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Try to avoid doing that in the future.
Yeah. I had never driven a pickup truck before. And I
that wall
didn't
had
realize
it
that
coming.
they can break down a whole concrete wall. I broke down 77 concrete blocks.
Now you're the spokesperson for that truck at this point.
I know.
That's an
The
an
advertisement.
Toyota
Toyota
right there.
Tundra.
When you need the power to break down a full concrete wall,
I
not one of
know.
those little concrete walls.
But a full concrete wall. I still say it was the truck's fault. I do not think it was my fault, but no one was there to witness it, so except me.
So, aspirations here for the near term and future. I'm guessing you work under a lot of NDAs. They have announced Hades 2 from Supergiant. Are you able to comment at all on whether you'll be reprising your role as Megaera?
I am not able to comment.
Oh,
Okay.
I am
Okay.
not.
We will.
Fair enough.
That is
fair
fair.
enough.
It's
enough.
a super secret world, this video game world.
Very
Everything's secret.
clandestine.
I auditioned for I think I have to sign NDAs every single week just for everything I'm auditioning for. And then I'm like, how many NDAs am I in? Like, I don't even know the names. Like, they don't even tell you the real names of the project when you're auditioning for it. I'm like, who am I going to tell about this, like, code-named project? Like, I don't even know who I'm auditioning for. I can't, like, just be like, I auditioned for, like, Zeblorp, and this, I don't know. And they're like, Project Wolfpack. Like, that's like what they're all titled, and it's like audition, confidential, Project Wolfpack. And I'm like, what? Like,
Sounds
I don't
awesome.
even know what this is. And they're like, from major studio. And I'm like, great, you're giving me a lot of details here that I could potentially reveal to the public. So it's a super secret world, and I can't comment
Well,
on
I
Hades 2.
respect your integrity. It's very impressive.
Yes, but I'm so excited for it. I think that it's going to be an amazing game.
Yeah. What projects do you want to plug here?
Yeah, what do you have? what do you have coming
what
up
do you
on
have
the
coming up?
horizon here?
Well, I just had a game come out. I don't know if you were able to check it out, called Blacktail.
Yes.
I've heard about it.
And that just came out just a couple weeks ago, I think.
From
time
a Polish
doesn't
studio, I believe.
make sense.
Parasite?
Yeah, from the Parasite. It was their very first release because they're an indie studio that kind of broke away from like a bunch of the developers and writers, and the CEO had come from other companies, bigger game studios,
Well,
and then came together for this.
CD Projekt Red, or is that the name? The studio that did the Witcher is based in Poland, I believe. So
Oh,
they're
yeah.
kind of
They
a
do have
new
an industry
epicenter
there,
for games. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of, I was surprised. And then I felt it was such a great project. I worked on it for a long time, like years, it feels.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, that's every game. I recorded Hades in 2018, and it came out in 2020.
Which is wild to think of. We're
Yeah.
sorry that we're still making you talk about it
I
here.
know. Well, it's funny because that's how it is with everything, Every game that I record, it's sometimes years before it comes out. And it's weird because I feel like I progress as a performer, and then I would look back, I'm like, oh, God. Like, even listening to Hades, I'm like, oh, my God.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And
man.
I read some comments sometimes of people being like, her voice is like so boring, and I'm like, it really is. Like,
Never read the comments. Never read those
I know.
comments.
Again, it doesn't bother me, but I'm like, wow, I kind of agree. Great point. But yeah, so Blacktail came out. I'm really excited to play it. I might become a streamer.
No.
I'm not kidding.
No.
I
Are you
might.
sure
Breaking
about
news.
this?
I know it's a horrible plan. I'm
No,
asking
not at
for
all.
my life to get even weirder, but I think I'm going to become a streamer.
If you're
the
into
coming months.
weird comments from anonymous strangers,
I know.
Yeah, this
streaming
could
is
be,
the.
Yeah, the two things that I think I'm gonna do the social media like person to Patreon pipeline. I think I am going to become a streamer and then get a Patreon to post my normal person videos on Patreon.
Absolutely.
Just because
That's genius.
yeah. And I have like literally a notebook full of the normal person videos I want to do. And the truth is, I have been very cautious about posting videos of the same character on YouTube, on Twitter.
Don't want to dilute
I think
your
it's annoying,
brand, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I'm like, if people like it, like, I don't care if it's 10 people. I don't care if it's 100 people. If 100 people want to pay me $5 a month to post a normal person video and they want that, then that's great. And it doesn't cause me the stress of like, oh, I don't want to post on Twitter and like everyone, or on Instagram. I'm like, I don't want all my like high school hometown friends to be like, why is Avalon so annoying? Like, I just wanted to see your life. And now I'm at the point where I'm like, I don't care how many people watch it. I love making those videos, but I also recognize my social media presence. Like on Instagram, I kind of want it to be more personal. On Twitter, it really is business. And Twitter, is mainly for voiceover business. So putting those normal person videos on there every once in a while as a little sprinkled treat is good for me because it gets a little bit of traction, but I really don't want to dilute it and make it so that it's the only thing that I'm doing on there.
You got to
Sure.
spread that gold out
That's
over
right.
time.
Exactly.
That's right.
Many talents.
I
there
do
per-
about once a year.
Are there particular games that you're interested in streaming?
Yeah, so I actually do want to stream Blacktail.
Okay. Okay.
Because I think I'm not a great gamer. To be honest, I'm horrible. Which I think could be a fun part
That could be just
of,
as entertaining. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I would use I've been like, this is really embarrassing. But I've been like collecting the little things I'm going to need to start becoming a streamer. Like I got a little mouse, which I've never
gaming
had.
mouse. Oh, is that a Razer?
This probably isn't even a good, no, it's a
This is
Logitech.
just a. Oh no, it is a Logitech. That's a legit one, right? I mean,
I don't
it
know.
This guy's
I
mouse
wish
doesn't
I
have
had
is
a
what you
glowing
need.
thing.
You need the
To be
holes
honest,
in it. Look at these.
I just
holes
got like
in
a,
this
that's
mouse.
really nice.
speed holes.
I don't even know how to do desktop. I don't even have a desktop. I have a laptop. So I think that I'll become a streamer when I get a desktop, which I'm pretty sure my laptop is going to break because it's from 2013. Yes, I still don't have a desktop also. That's
I need to
another
work
thing.
something out with these video game companies to get
That's
a
right.
little
I
bonus.
know.
Get sponsored, absolutely.
Yeah, get sponsored for this thing.
I know. I'm just gonna post on Twitter. Well, one time I posted on Twitter and I was like, does anyone have a boat I can borrow? I posted it as a joke, and then this guy messaged me and was like, I actually have a sailboat in San Francisco that I don't use anymore. And I was like, wait, are you serious? And he's like, yeah, if you want to come check it out, me and my wife would love to take you on a sailing adventure.
And he put his
then I was
wife
like,
in there, so it was
what?
less creepy
I know.
too.
And then like I
And
really
then it got
considered
weird.
it. No, I really considered it. Like it never got weird. He sent me pictures of Now I realize that maybe
Well, you can't trail off at that point in the sentence.
he sent me pictures of him and his wife with the boat. And I don't. Now I'm like, oh,
And you
what
only
are they
There's red
wanting?
flags here. Avalon, you might have terrible self-preservation
Judgment,
instincts.
I know.
Worried about your
Um,
instincts a little bit
yeah.
here, I gotta say.
Yeah, but even after that, I also got messaged by like a famous person in like in the crypto world, and he was like, "I have a boat, and I also have a private island," and I was like, "Okay." And he was like a real person.
Is that
So-
dude that's in prison or whatever? What's his
No.
name?
I wish it was him.
yeah.
The
That would make a
whatever
much
that-
better story.
I know, but it's pretty funny, the things. So I think if I posted, like I legitimately, maybe if I posted on Twitter and was like, hey, I don't have a desktop computer. Does anyone want to give me one?
Do it.
Maybe a brand
Have
would
no
let
shame,
that happen.
and don't let anyone else tell you differently. Okay.
I know. I'm just going to start asking for the things I need on Twitter.
That's
I'm
actually
gonna be
also
like,
how you got
Absolutely.
the CEO of Twitter job. I saw. Yeah, I assume
know.
you
Is that-
Is that
CEO.
finalized yet? Is
Yeah.
that
No, he didn't even respond to that
Elon?
part. And
Oh.
I was like, excuse me. Don't pretend like I didn't ask you that question or that I didn't make a statement.
That's
I-
absolutely the worst decision he's made lately. 100%.
I know.
Yikes.
The worst. I do think it's like, why not? I think I'd be a fantastic CEO, and I feel like he doesn't take me seriously, which
I believe in you.
is
You have my
yeah,
vote.
I believe in myself. I would take that company off the ground, but he doesn't realize that I'm a genius. So
That's right.
whatever.
You'll get your shot. You'll get your shot.
I know. If anyone wants to make me, anyone listening to this, I need a desktop computer, and I need to be the CEO of a company.
Of
And that's
anything.
really all I need. Anything.
I'm wondering if there's any to get a little deeper here, if there's any life lesson that you wish you would have learned at a younger age. Anything you wish you would have figured out earlier.
Yes. And I'm still learning this. It is, don't spread yourself so thin. Don't be a yes man. Don't be afraid to do things that actually fuel you, because I spent so many years saying yes to everything. One, out of, especially I'm talking about like work, right? I said yes to everything. I was a nanny, a teacher. I at one point probably had 6 to 7 jobs because I couldn't settle on just one, because I couldn't commit to any place full time because I was trying to pursue this dream. And because of that, I spread myself so thin and obligated myself to 20 different people all the time. Same thing with friendships. I had too many people that I felt they're my friend. Like, I need to prove to them, they're going to think I'm mean. They're going to think I'm mean if I like don't hang out with them. But then I would like hang out with them and be like, oh my God, I have so much to do. And then I'm like in my head, and then I'm like, oh my God, even though I'm here, I'm still a bad friend. Like, why would they want to? And that's part of the thing is, it's like, if you take away the potential for you to feel overwhelmed by actually narrowing your life to the things that make you feel full and don't take away your energy, then you get a lot more of your mental health back, because I've felt absolutely burned out mentally, physically, and emotionally all the time, because I felt like such a letdown in every part of my life because I was spread so thin.
Yeah, it's okay to prioritize, and it's funny how we're in a culture where we encourage this kind of taking on of things constantly, but
I think a lot of people feel guilt for, like, you have to be productive all the time. You can't ever take that time for yourself.
I still feel that. I feel that all the
absolutely.
time.
I do too. Yeah, for sure.
I'm always productive, so I never feel it. I feel great about myself.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because anytime I have a day off, like most of the time I work 6 to 7 days a week. And so I
Sometimes
work my
8,
normal job. Sometimes 8. I work my normal job, and most days I have to go home and record at least, one audition. And it's funny. I mean, we talked about failure. I record auditions almost every day. I don't book anything. Like, I book 2 to 3 things a year, and I record auditions almost every day. And that's
I'd
one
be beaten
thing
down
that is,
if I were you. I couldn't handle it.
That's why I say, like, oh, I missed an audition. Well, guess what? I probably wasn't gonna book it anyway. And I know that's like a negative thing to think, but I put in the effort every single time. I really do try to deliver. But at the end of the day, I don't put all my eggs into the basket of one audition, because I know there's gonna be more. And I got to this place after, when I first started, I would get one audition a month. And I would be like, oh my God, I'm giving this my all, because this is maybe the only thing I'm writing on right now. And now, it's now just kind of work. And I'm like, okay, I just finished work. I have to go home, do a little bit of work, and then I'm exhausted. And then I'm like, okay, well, I don't really have the time to have a super vibrant social life right now. And that's okay. Like, I am happy with where I'm at. I'm happy with a very small group of friends here. I miss my friends from Los Angeles. I had so many friends in Los Angeles. Too many, probably. And I have almost none here, which is a completely 180-degree change from what I had. But I feel so much better within myself here that, at some point maybe I'll start adding friends to the mix. But right now I'm about
slowly.
4.
Yeah. Choose wisely.
So it's interesting. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I think I'm really scared to go back to how I was in Los Angeles, which was very stressed out all the time.
Los Angeles, I have to say, I've never been there. It sounds like a terrible place to be.
I don't recommend it.
I do not want to go there ever. So
I think
I'm
it
happy for
is
you.
terrible.
Yes. I'm glad to have
honestly,
my suspicions confirmed.
They're so right. And I, if anybody, and I don't mean to be the person that's going to, if parents hear me say this, they're going to tell their kid, like, see, don't chase your dreams. She's telling you right now, like, don't go to LA. It's going to ruin your life.
She
I like
also
that
has
voice.
like
That's a good voice.
Yeah.
That you just
I was going to say,
did.
she also has like a egalitarian mid-Atlantic
Yeah,
accent that she puts on,
exactly.
apparently.
So that's my mom voice from like moms. That's how I envision them. And that's what
That's
people will
everyone's mom.
say, like the whole thing of like, don't quit your day job. The thing is, that's like what people joke about the parents of these artists saying, like, don't quit your day job. Oh, it's a 1 in a million chance. And they normally use that as a negative, but I say that's true. If you are not rich, don't quit your day job. Don't quit your day job. And it is
But
a 1
you
in a
say
million
it-
chance.
You say it in a different tone, though, and that's what matters,
Exactly.
right? Yeah.
And I say it in a way of like, don't do that if you really want it. If you really believe in yourself, it is a marathon. It's not a sprint. If you quit your day job, you have approximately 6 months to get it big
Get
and
off the ground, yeah.
get off the ground, or you're crashing and burning.
Well,
I experienced that firsthand.
I think it's so cool that you found a way to have this balanced life and still work on these really cool projects.
Amazing
So,
projects.
Yeah.
And I actually started out the projects question ramping down the podcast because we want to be respectful of
sorry.
your time because, no, I mean, we're happy to talk to you as long as you want, but we also, here you
I'm like,
are.
it's 11 p.m. probably for you right now.
It's okay.
Who's counting? Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you were maybe subtly digging at us like, I'm busy all the time.
I'm like, I'm so
I
spread
really-
thin. I say yes to everyone.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Like,
I
wait a
can't be
minute.
mean.
Am I part of the
No,
problem for her?
No,
we just,
you're not.
We just caused you to miss the audition for Starfield. I don't know. I'm
I
going to
know.
come up with the biggest game.
Project
coming up.
Starfield. I know. It's
Code name.
It's weird. I do like I really feel bad when I let people down, to be honest. Like I'll get cameo requests and sometimes like I don't know what it is, but cameos really overwhelm me and I don't know why. So like I like can't like the app accidentally went back to the cloud and then I re-downloaded it and I had like 5 missed requests and I felt so horrible. I was like, oh my God, like these people wanted this like birthday gift and like I couldn't give them. And then I'm like, whoa, okay.
They had
Calm
to go
down.
to Mark.
Well, I had a
Meir or
cameo I
whatever.
was going to send you, but I guess now I'll just put
right.
that down.
Hey, everyone listening, don't request cameos from
I know.
Avalon
Well,
because
no,
apparently
Cameo stopped allowing me to accept requests because I haven't completed enough. Like I used to do them all the time, but then I started getting stressed out by it, and I don't know why. So I just like let the app go to the cloud, and I wasn't getting notifications. And then Cameo was like, "Hey, you're
Hey,
letting
listen
everyone
here.
down." Yeah.
That's what they said in
They're
their
like,
email
you're letting
to you.
everyone down. And they sent me a thing. They're like, we've limited your requests so that you can keep up with demand. And I'm like, the demand is like 3 cameos a month. And I can't keep up with
the
it.
amount of passive aggression in that is just amazing.
I know.
by the way.
I'm like, Cameo. Also, I hate. Okay. I'm going to get blacklisted from
again,
Cameo.
Yeah, I've lost count at this point.
How many things have I said I hated? But I promise
Kate
I'm nice.
Winslet for sure.
Kate Winslet, number 1. But Cameo I have a hard time with. But it's not really Cameo. Actually, Cameo's great. Do you know who I hate? Apple. I still want a Mac Mini.
Oh,
but
they're
I
the
hate
worst.
Apple.
They're the worst.
Because they charge this additional fee. So
Yeah.
if you book through the app, you pay this huge price, right, for a Cameo. And then we get half of that because Cameo takes a percentage and then Apple takes that same percentage.
It
They take an
sucks.
additional. So you lose
Yeah.
50%.
And if you're an
then
app
I'm like,
developer, they do the same thing there. Yeah.
I know. It's terrible. So Apple, I know you're like one of the top company. If you're looking for a CEO,
Let me
Apple.
turn you around
Another
here.
CEO plug for you, yes.
I'll take
Tim
over
Cook-
and make it so you don't ruin people's lives.
Also, I'm assuming that Apple does list. Yeah, Tim Cook is listening right now, I think.
Yeah, he's
right.
listening to this
Is
podcast.
he still the CEO? I don't even know.
I think so.
I don't
Probably.
know. But yeah, so that's it. There's nothing else to plug in my life besides the fact that I'm gonna become a streamer. I'm
Yes,
gonna
this
one
is
day
a
have
good one.
I'm plugging things that are like 6 months in the future. So just
Good.
hang tight.
We'll
Yeah.
look
Okay.
forward to it.
I do want to give a shout out to your work on the short film Kessie. I got an opportunity to watch that, and it was really, really wonderful little film. Beautifully
you.
shot and features fantastic acting by you.
Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to anyone who's interested to find that. It's all on YouTube and everything. So
Yeah.
go out and watch that.
Yeah, and you're such a nice, genuine person and super talented. I just look forward to anything you do in the future. And thank you so much again for spending a little time with us.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, our pleasure for sure.
You guys are a blast.
Thank you.
You make me want to come to Iowa.
Oh,
well, hey,
See it for
okay.
myself.
You're
Okay.
a producer for that show, George. Or
I know.
what's his name? George
That's right.
goes everywhere.
George goes everywhere.
You're a producer.
I
You
am.
didn't come to Iowa. It's the show
can
is
make it
It's false
happen.
advertising right now.
What's the best like major city in Iowa?
Well, Des Moines probably.
Des Moines, I guess.
But
let me ask
I'm
you this:
pitching it. I'm
Are you-
pitching it.
We have
Are
a
you
pitch.
into bicycling?
Yes.
I know how to bike.
Because there's this big ride across Iowa called Ragbri, and it's a
Whoa.
big party. We ride like across the whole state. Lots of drinking, lots of like really small
Whoa.
towns.
We're talking-
It's pretty cool.
20 to 30,000 bicyclists every day. It's
It's-
a week long.
Coming through a town of like 500 people.
Right,
It's,
yeah.
It is pretty cool. You should
Whoa.
check it
And
out.
It's
Yeah.
a cool way to see Iowa because there's like old ladies out like selling pies in you
Yeah.
know the middle of nowhere
Oh my
Iowa who haven't
gosh.
seen this many people in their whole life. And
It's like late July, I
yeah,
believe,
last
right?
week of
That's-
July always.
Yeah.
So and it's been going
Whoa.
on for like 60 years or something.
Yeah.
Maybe not that long,
No
but a
way.
long time.
I
This
would
is-
love to go.
This year is the 50th anniversary too.
Oh,
so
there
Oh,
you
it's
go.
gonna be
Pointing that out.
even bigger than
It'll be huge.
normal.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
But so get George here and bicycle across
know.
Iowa.
That's a great, amazing. Oh yeah, that's another thing I can pitch. George Goes Everywhere season 3.
Oh,
It's
season
coming out.
Absolutely.
3. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Very
So
good.
that'll be out. I
We'll
love
check
that
it
show.
out.
Yes. And
Okay.
the Twitch Twitch channel. We will be your first follower on the Twitch
100%,
channel.
Thank you.
yes,
I'll
for
send you an
sure,
email.
for sure.
I'm gonna
Okay,
be like,
excellent.
hey, I'm streaming, but I'm so nervous. How do you practice streaming?
You just
Can
get
you?
into
Just,
it. Just
Because
dive
it's
in.
gonna be horrible. Like the first couple of times, like I'm not gonna know what to do.
You know
I
what
don't even know
sucks?
how to.
When you have one person watching you.
Yeah,
I
that's
know,
like-
and you're
you're
like,
supposed
oh
to
my
be
God.
engaging. Yeah. That's what
I
sucks.
know.
But
I've
you'll
done
get-
like
you'll
live
get through
streams
that.
on things, and I don't like it. Like I used to do these like live signings, and I get really stressed out.
Yeah.
You're right.
I get stressed out a lot.
Well, you'll,
Streaming sounds really good for you. You should get
I know.
into this.
you know, you'll
I'm
do
like,
it
oh my
for a
God.
while, you'll quit, and then you'll get back into it. It'll all
Yeah.
work out in the
fine.
end.
It's gonna be
Yeah.
like everything else in my life.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Thank
Avalon.
you guys.